Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to the Korner Booth podcast. I am your host, Mr. Jared Clem. Happy, I guess Monday. Even though I hate when people say Happy Monday because Monday's never usually that fun unless there's Monday Night Football on, or it's championship game Monday for college sports. Anyway, yeah. Well, it's Monday afternoon. We have our UFL preview. Very excited, Mr. Zach Keilman of the UFL podcast. Former Belly Up member, actually, will be stopping by in, I believe, an hour. We're talking all things UFL. Nate Brahmas, who just announced a starting quarterback today. Kellen Mond will be their starting quarterback for the season. My Battlehawks are starting both Manny Perez and my boy Max Duke. I can't even think of the guy from Texas, TCU. Max Duggan, I think. Max Duggan, yeah. Max Duggan and Manny Perez are the two by committee quarterbacks. We all know it's all about Hakeem the Dream, Butler, our 6'6" wide receiver and red zone nightmare. So I'm excited for a little Battlehawks football this year. Best fans in the sport in that league. We also have Matt's Defenders, who just lost one of their coaches, and apparently he found out DeAndre Baker is their starting cornerback, and he's not that happy right now. I also just found a TikTok from Albert Breer and Connor Orr on the Sports Illustrated Football podcast, basically defending Dave Gettleman, saying he tried to build what Harry Roseman built, and the only thing he missed on was a quarterback. And I was like, I mean, he did trade away Odell Beckham at the right time. Anyway, I don't know. I thought it was a funny meme I sent to Nate. I guarantee he's going to lose his mind. But anyway, my co-hosts are here joining me now. A handsome gentleman who gave me the official beer of the LA Dodgers. I can't show it right now because I can't drink because I'm not sure what they injected me with before, but we'll see what at the doctor's office. But we'll find out tomorrow. Matt Ordazzo.
Yeah, I have a small wiener lager, official beer of the
LA Dodgers.
Say official beer at the LA Dodgers, not officially. This is all speculation. Don't sue us. No,
they would sue us.
They would.
They got to pay off Ohtani's ridiculous contract somehow.
Yeah, no, they're gonna use that to then back pay the next free agent star that they're gonna come into contact with. We're like, all right, we just sued this small company for telling us we all have small wieners. So here is 10 years of $2 million per season, and here you be Dodger.
See, the thing is, I don't get to say Dodgers fans because like Lakers fans pre-LeBron are awesome, and like I can't say Cowboys fans because they've just taken enough of a beating the last couple of years. So LA Dodgers are going to catch all the shrapnel. So there you go. As a certified member of the Diamondback D-Backs Nation, leading the Dodger hate fan club, I always will never miss an opportunity. We also are talking edge rushers in a little bit, but we'll review this weekend's games. We'll start off with my title. Oh, by the way, my producer Nate's here. Hi, Nate.
Hi. Hope you guys are doing well. What's up, Matt?
What's going on, Mr. Nate?
Not much, guys. Not much. Happy Monday. Even though Jared, everybody is not happy. But hey, you know what? We're here, right? It's sunny out in California. I went out today. It was super nice, super sunny.
It's pouring up here. It's pouring. 40.
It's cold and rainy.
Yeah.
Tomorrow Wednesday gonna be nicer at least, but so boys, how your brackets doing, huh?
Yeah,
I can't even find my bracket anymore. I go on the app, it's like gone. I figured that just means I did that bad. I don't know.
Yeah, I get like the weekly. I get the weekly emails about like how my champion is still alive, but right now I have 1, 2, 3. My final four is still intact.
Mine's not. Mine's not intact at all.
I am only missing 2 out of my Elite 8. That'd be Oregon and St. Joe's. And UNC. So
I'm 500 with my final four right now. 2 of them are out. 2 of them are in.
Yeah. Matt, you're 32nd in the group.
Nice. How many people are in the group? When you say that,
Well, I'm 40th, so I mean
77.
Oh, I'll take
Matt,
it.
we're in the top half, baby.
I'm in the middle of the class.
I'm the bottom half. All right, so
just like
we're gonna rapid fire round by round. We'll go through really quickly. Nate, if you wouldn't mind posting the link for this in the Belly Up chat so our friends over in the company can watch as well. We are live, obviously, on X and on Instagram. This episode will be up for replay on the Belly Up Sports YouTube tomorrow. And obviously, our Thursday show will be Thursday at 7 o'clock on our YouTube, as well as the 2 social medias. So, rapid fire review of the games this weekend. Auburn defeated Alabama State 83-63. Creighton upset Louisville 89-75. Michigan snuck past UC San Diego 68-65. Texas A&M knocks off Yale. Sorry, Matt. 80-71. Ole Miss beats UNC 71-64. Iowa State smacks Lipscomb 82-55. That's a name. New Mexico knocks off Marquette. Saw that one coming. 75-66. Izzo and the boys roll through Bryant 87-62. Florida knocks off Norfolk State 95-69. Nice. UConn beats Oklahoma 67-59. Leaves to the Sooners to not do something good. Memphis takes out Colorado. Also saw that coming. I'm pretty good on the upsets this year. Maryland knocks off Grand Canyon. Drake knocks off Mizzou. That one hurt a little bit because I had Mizzou going to the I think I had him going to Sweet 16. No, I had him losing Texas Tech. Speaking of which, they knock off UNC Wilmington. Arkansas knocks off Kansas. Pigs, Suey. St. John's takes out Omaha. Duke, after being close to Mount St. Mary's for all of 30 seconds, wiped the floor with Mount St. Mary's. Baylor takes out Mississippi State. Oregon takes out Liberty. Arizona takes out Akron. BYU, the the crasher of the final of the Sweet 16, has knocked off VCU. Wisconsin took out Montana. St. Mary's, Vanderbilt, Alabama, Robert Morris. Houston knocks off CUE. I don't even care. There's 16 team that nobody cares about. Gonzaga cost me a parlay. Knocks off Georgia. Clemson upset by McNeese with the Oregon himself. Purdue takes out High Point. Purdue's a buzzkill this year. Kentucky knocks off Troy. UCLA knocks off Utah. Tennessee knocks off Wofford. All right. Rapid fire teams that advanced were Kentucky, Tennessee, Houston, the buzzkills themselves, Purdue, Alabama, BYU, Duke, Arizona, Texas Tech, Arkansas, Florida, Maryland, Ohio, Michigan State, Ole Miss, and Auburn, Michigan. That is your Sweet 16 in a rapid fire update. Obviously, we'll pick all the games because you know what, Maddie, I think it's time we bring back the six pack on Thursday. What do you think? We'll do a college basketball edition.
You will definitely beat me on that one probably. So yeah, we could do it.
Yeah, let's go. Right now I'm only shooting 50% in my bracket. My champion is still alive. That'll be the Gators.
Shout out to Chris, formerly the Korner Booth, big McNeese fan right now.
Oh yeah. Dude, their whole vibe with the dunks and the Oregon, all that stuff, that was so much fun. And leave it to Purdue. They ruined that. They knocked off the funnest college on the East Coast. That'd be High Point. Purdue just sucks. Can we just jettison them into the back of the storage unit that is the Big 12 in the playoffs? The Big 10, sorry. I don't know, that sucked. But obviously in the UNC front sucked. But when you're down by 20 at half, you have to play almost immaculate in the second half. And you have a chance to win. You don't close the bucket. You force 3 turnovers, all of which you could have taken the lead. They weren't going to win. Honestly, I think this team needs to – Hubert Davis, UNC, he might not be our coach next year, but he was going to want a forward recruit coming in. We have a bunch of returning starters next year. I think we have a decent recruiting class, actually, for UNC. So I'm kind of optimistic. We'll see how next year plays out. So, yeah. But other than that, all the big dogs, except for St. John's, advanced. Auburn, Florida, Michigan State, Arizona, Duke. Arizona's played really well. BYU, Subi warned us. Them boys can shoot the lights out. And that's all they've done since they got into the playoffs, including knocking off Wisconsin, who, Mormons versus beer drinkers. I did not think the spread was the Mormons on that one.
No, then I think not what hurt me the most, but I think what shocked me the most was I think myself and a lot of people really thought St. John's were at least going to get down to that Final Four. I thought the season that they have, the coaching they have, the players they have, I thought they were going to do some real damage in this tournament. Maybe they were going to win, maybe they weren't going to win, but I thought they were at least going to win the next couple of rounds and make it to that Final Four. But to lose to Arkansas by 11, by 9, I don't know, just maybe they just had, not like they celebrated too much, but maybe they just got so absorbed with that first win, finally getting a win in the tournament after all these years. Probably were thinking the next stage ahead of them before, rather than what was actually right in front of them. And I think Arkansas was who they thought they were going to be at that point in time, and that one sucked.
It's also a team coached by Coach Cal, so like we have to remember that. Like it's not like it's not they are. I guess them and BYU, I guess, are Cinderellas this year, but they're big name programs. So unfortunately, they're not going to be as Cinderella as like a McNeese State would, or hell, North Carolina would have been the ultimate heel of like Cinderella stories, or even UConn if they knocked off Florida. But we're kind of getting two fun teams getting into the Sweet 16 that really don't belong on people's brackets, except for Jay Williams on ESPN, who took all chalk. All chalk.
No, it's cool seeing these teams, these Cinderella story teams, get in there. But it's like if you compare it to baseball, it's like seeing the Royals and the Tigers go into the playoffs this past year. It's fun to see a shakeup in the tournament. And then UConn and Florida, that one sucked. Me and the F were getting hyped up in the chat. I'm like, listen, if Arkansas can beat St. John's, then UConn can beat Florida. And for a little bit, they really had them.
It was close.
I mean, even at the final, the buzzer shot, that made it that 2-point difference. But you know what? There was a lot of fouls on UConn, a lot of free throws this past couple
your
of days.
Coach was even worse than Sirianni ever could. He was acting
No,
like
I know. That was that was the closest he'd get to like a Nick Sirianni moment. But
yeah, but Sirianni doesn't do that after they lose. He only does it after they win.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's not completely wrong with the officiating, but at the end of the day, you can't. You gotta get the job done.
Take it on the chin and go.
Yeah.
That's whatever. He's just another reason why I can't stand UConn men's basketball. Love UConn women's because I met a couple of the players working for Coach Beardsley. Professor Beardsley, shout out. And then on top of that, UConn baseball, awesome. George Springer, what up? And then also, UConn football is just like a fun underdog to root for. But dude, UConn men's basketball, I don't know why. I was trying to explain to my mom because she was asking me before, and I said, I'm like, listen, like some people like UNC like me, because the greatest ever went there. Vince Carter, Antoine Jameson, Stackhouse, all guys I grew up loving, all are Tar Heels. Duke fans, they love being the villain. They love being the I swear to God, Duke reminds me of the villains from Caddyshack. That's what I feel like 80% of the guys who go to Duke look like.
The UConn team and like the diehard fans, I think what it is for me, but I mean, to preface, I'm not a diehard, UConn fan. I choose to root for UConn for college basketball, but I don't watch college basketball unless it's March.
If LSU was good, you'd be rooting for them even harder.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm an LSU guy. I root for UConn because I live in the States, so I am what you would call a casual UConn college basketball fan. But I think the vibe of the diehards and the team and maybe the organization and everything, it kind of has the New England Patriot vibes for college basketball, or the Yankees vibes. They're very entitled.
Like born on third base, expected to score.
Yeah, exactly. I get that a lot from diehard fans, or just I think it's just a team that's expected to just always be there, and when they're not there, you got to hear about
it. No, I get you, and it kind of turns into this whole thing where you're like, okay, here goes UConn again. Oh boy, I also just don't like because you can't gamble on a UConn game in this. You can't even bet against them. So,
dude, I wanted to throw like $10 on Yale. I couldn't. Thankfully, I couldn't, but I wanted to.
Well, here's the thing. Now that all the Connecticut teams are out, we can gamble on every single game. Let's go degeneracy. Woo! All right, Nate, any final thoughts on the tournament before we start talking draft picks and NFL news?
My bracket's screwed, and that's all you need to know.
It's okay, buddy. It's not the worst thing in the world.
I have two brackets. One of them I put St. John's, the other put the Gators. So I guess one of them still alive. One guy in the group, by the way, has a 99.1%. How do I say it? Not conversion rate, but I guess correct so far of his bracket.
Yeah, we're gonna need to send him in for a drug test.
Yeah, I know.
No, we're gonna send him in to see if he's working for the mobs and he fixed the books.
Yeah, we're gonna need to get.
99.1%.
We're gonna need to send him one of those randomized drug test texts like they get in the NFL after they have an amazing week.
Dear Charles, attached here is a drug test because we're questioning your bracket skills.
Were you under the influence when you chose McNeese over so and so? Like, oh, well, maybe guilty.
2 years.
Try Nate. At least you got Cal football.
You're dang right. We got Ron Rivera as our new GM.
How does that work for? Is it recruiting?
No clue.
Ron Rivera went from having a head coaching candidate like interview with the Jets to the general manager of the Cal Bears.
Well, with the whole NIL thing, you need a GM now. You need a guy who understands the money. Like, who is it? Woj is now the GM of St. Bonnie.
Oh yeah, it's wild. That was like the craziest thing when he left. I was like, I felt like they ripped my heart out of my chest. I'm not even a big NBA guy.
I could care less. I was always a Shams guy.
No, you're Shams.
Well, Shams is good.
Shams is a McAfee boy. Also, Shams is our age, Matt. He was one of those dudes who just got it, took off, and ran with it, and he has been successful. So you got to root for a guy who's successful like that. Woj to me reminds me of the old heads trying to keep guys like Shams out and trying to bomb on Shams' stuff. He also takes shots at McAfee, who's our boy. So to me, I'm like, yeah, bye, Woj. Okay, so weird headlines, Bo. So we have some NFL headlines. We'll get right into football talk. Allegedly, Puka wants to retire at 30. Okay. Cam Ward looked amazing in his pro day. Hit like a lot of his throw. I was impressed. I was getting irritated because I was like, just show me football drills. I don't need to. I love hearing Daniel Jeremiah talk, but I need to hear it for a whole. Bucky Brooks makes my ears bleed. Every mock draft of his, my brain wants to invert itself. Anyway, but the big news of the weekend is coming to New York, baby. Jameis Winston. Nate is about to have the greatest season of all time of 7 wins and 10 losses. He's going to witness Malik Neighbors catch for almost 2,000 yards and 20 touchdowns, but also witness Jameis Winston chasing down about 15 pick sixes. I am so excited for I'm ready for him versus Hurts. 45-42 final score. Eagles not walk off on a field goal. I am ready for it.
Yeah, you got the bright side and the dark side of this whole thing. So if you go on the obvious dark side, like with the Giants' schedule, if he's a starter for the full year, like maybe 6 wins. Like the dark side is probably going to have a 6-win season. He's probably, if he's the starter for the whole year, he's probably going to throw 20 interceptions or so, maybe more. Probably going to have like 5 or 6 pick sixes. But
dude, 30,
the bright
30,
side,
I'll be back, baby.
But the bright side, it's going to be a lot of fun because now, like, you actually, it's weird to say because Jameis Winston, like as a starting quarterback, he's not very good, but he is a serviceable quality backup that can come in for a couple of games. But he could throw the ball. Like he can sling the ball. Like Nate's about to watch a Giants quarterback have multiple 300-yard passing games for the first time in I don't know how long.
Since and Eli, like during the 2011 Super Bowl days.
He's going to throw multiple interceptions a game, but he might have like 3 or 4 touchdowns in a game as well. You might see Malik Neighbors have like 1,400 plus yards with like 14 touchdowns. Like you're going to have a fun season. There's not going to be a dull moment with it, but unfortunately, unless this is the lightning in a bottle year for him, I think it's not going to be a great year record wise, but it's going to be a lot of enjoyment and a lot of entertainment.
Still more entertaining than watching a Cowboys game.
Yes.
And it's the most entertaining quarterback we've had since Eli. I mean,
honestly, quarterbacks who are gunslingers who like to double up their interceptions with the touchdowns. I mean, it's a formula that works for you, big dog.
And
listen, J-Mo gonna give you some funny moments with that New York media, man. He's destined to play.
Listen, it's also a really good locker room move too, because he's a fantastic person, like in the locker room within the guys. He's a great leader and mentor, and he's very confident in himself, which I love. Yeah. But so it's just he's going to be a great camaraderie kind of guy with the group and everything. I think it's going to be a really good positive culture for the Giants.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm super. I mean, I know, like you guys mentioned, right? There's gonna be a downside, right? There's gonna be turnovers that he's gonna be throwing. What is it, interceptions, fumbles, whatever the case may be. But
Mhm.
for us to get him at the contract we didn't, we got him at, which is like 2 years, 8 million with up to 16 with incentives. Like that's cheap. We could have
Yeah,
spent the bank for Rodgers and wait on him, but thank God we did not. That ends the drama there.
No,
We're
because
still getting on.
he's still making his decision, but it's
he's
down to
gonna
one
go.
team. Hey,
He's gonna
Yeah,
go.
isn't this ironic? Down to one team, but except this time it was us holding up the trade, that whole
Well,
whatever. But
he's
this
gonna
time,
go.
one team.
yeah.
Now Russ is gonna just wait until somebody gets hurt in camp.
I bet you
Yeah,
he
I think
goes to
it's
Cleveland.
I think he's waiting. Cousins is for sure. There's announced that he's gonna wait until after the draft to prevent any repeat of the Michael Penix situation. So
I
he's
feel
gonna
like
wait
he's
until
got some
after.
PTSD. The P standing for Penix.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
maybe he
Um,
should have taken the jersey swap that Kyle Pitt suggested. Maybe that would have helped him. I
there you go.
swear, if Rodgers goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers and he wears 12, and he has a 12 like season, he should have just took name its number when he offered it to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I will say this before we get into draft prospects. I'm just excited to see what happens in the next couple of days because now we haven't seen a draft day trade yet. I think
Mm.
Shedeur Sanders is gonna have a great time in New York sitting behind Jameis because it's gonna be everything you're not supposed to do.
Well, do you? So what I'm
You're
hearing is
Dable's gonna be like, you see that? You see that like 40-yard bomb in triple coverage that he somehow hit? Yeah, don't do that. You don't have the
I
arm
mean,
strength.
do you think so? They're saying that this doesn't necessarily take the Giants out of the running for another veteran. Do you honestly see them pursuing Russell Wilson and then drafting a rookie? Because I that
No,
would have to tell me that they're going to cut Tommy DeVito.
no, because I think
Thank
Russ
God
Russ thinks he's still a starter.
he's not.
Well, I don't think the Giants are going to deploy a rookie to start the season off.
No. They want James to play. They want Shador to sit on the bench or McCord or Jackson Dart because Jackson Dart kind of fits the Mariners MO a little more. But they want their guy to sit there and they want him to sit behind Jameis and for Dable to go, yeah, don't do that. For like, he's like, you see that? That's great. No, that's bad. I wish, you know what? If it was ever like something you could auction off, I would love to sit and watch a QB room tape with Brian Daboll and Jameis Winston after a loss, or Jameis threw for like 500 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 4 picks. I want to sit in that film room and just listen to that. Because, dude, I will be crying in the background, like laughing. James will be like, well, coach, you see what happened was the Lord told me he was going to cut across and the safety was not going to come down in time. So I said, screw it. I got a howitzer on my shoulder. Let me hit it. And I hit it, but then he fumbled.
Part of me does feel like, and obviously the best case scenario for me and for the Giants on draft night is you get Sanders at 3, let him sit behind Winston because, and we talked about it last week, right? It's if we sign a guy like a Winston um, or a Flacco or whatever, you start that guy for maybe 6, 7 games and put the rookie in maybe middle of the season, late in the year.
Mm.
But I'd be lying. I'd be lying if I said I didn't consider us getting Hunter at 3 and maybe Milrow in the second round. I don't want that. I mean, I don't want
I don't
that.
think Milrow goes past 20, but
I don't
Yeah.
think it's. I think it's win-win for the Giants in the sense of if you take a quarterback at 3,
Mhm.
then and it's probably going to be Sanders. Then I think you're going to take one on the chin this year, and then the following year or so after that, I think it could be bright skies ahead if everything pans out. Or the other winning scenario is that you guys don't. Sorry if you can hear my wife choking out whatever she has in the background, but she.
Hobby.
Um, but the other winning scenario is that if the Giants just don't take anybody in the first round or the second round, or maybe they take somebody later and then they have another one of those you got to take it on the chin years, and then they draft a quarterback in a better class next year. So
Take
there's
it.
options. I don't think it's the end of the world if they don't get their quarterbacks that they want, but at the same time, I don't see unless Cleveland is going to go quarterback, I don't see a reason why they shouldn't get Shador at 3, bearing any sort of trade up or anything.
Yeah. I'm just getting a quarterback finally this offseason definitely helps just relieve any, worry as of right now with this team. but there's obviously a lot more to do for sure. But I'm glad, man. I'm glad we got a gunslinger, man. Someone that will throw the ball to the neighbors and Hyde and Robinson and Slayton and all the things. So I'm super excited for sure.
Well, speaking of quarterback headlines, apparently the Jets are deploying a freaking army to Texas Pro Day to watch Quinn Ewers. So,
Oh
Oh,
God, no, Maddie, I'm sorry.
shit.
that's exciting. I know I like Quinn Ewers, but I just don't. That doesn't mean I want him on my
Dude, you got to
team.
have him baked in the oven for like 4 years.
That's what I'm saying. Like I like Quinn Ewers, but I just think and I've said it before in the pod, I think he should have transferred to a different college and stayed another year and then came out the following year. But I don't think he's ready this year, and I don't know. I don't think him behind Justin Fields is going to prep him for next year.
But they don't. They never learn. They just see the money and chase it. We got to get going on draft stock. Nate, you ready?
Sir, yes, sir.
All right. We are talking edge rushers today, kids. So first off, this is my favorite position to cover. It's a position I played. I got to play in high school. I was lucky enough to play.
How many
it's
sacks?
Also, what?
How many sacks did you have?
I didn't have any in varsity. I had a couple in JV though. I played more offense in varsity. I was a left tackle, and everything else that my coach needed me to play because I was kind of like the sixth man. But my O line kept getting injured, so I started the game at almost every position except center.
So you're the white. No, I was gonna say the white Jordan Mailata, but you play different positions. I'm trying to think of a versatile offensive line.
You're
short as hell.
Elijah Vera Tucker did left guard, right tackle so far.
I was left tackle. Left
yeah,
guard, right.
You would know that, Matt. Duh.
I was
he
left
was drafted.
tackle. Yeah, training camp I was center. Then moved over to the backup left guard. Then started at left guard. Then started at left tackle. Played a game at right guard. Back to left tackle. It was a whole thing. But it was fun. I had a good time. Shout out to Coach Roach for letting me just constantly get snaps at different positions. But edge rusher is my favorite position to like evaluate breakdown. That's why I still play in flag football when we play pickup leagues. Because this way I only have to run for 2.5 yards and I get to stop. See, I find the repetitiveness of running a route just not to get thrown the ball when it's like 12 on 12. I'm just like, me chase quarterback, me hit quarterback. Okay, jog back, get back to the thing. So I love it. We're starting off. We're going to honorable mentions to one because we all know what one is. We might as well just rip the Band-Aid off. So honorable mentions, I have two. Landon Jackson out of Arkansas. 6'8", 280 pounds. I wrote long, but I spaced out the wording. So it's L, 8 spaces, O, 8 spaces, N, and you get it. Great hand fighting technique, which I thought was very interesting. And he's an exceptional raw talent. A couple things I didn't like, though. His, similar to guys in front of him, he's got limited bends. He kind of stands up on his edge rushes, and especially with powerful tackles like a like a Jordan Mailata. Our guest just texted me. I was just my ADHD kicked in. Like a upstanding tackle like Jordan Mailata, Lane Johnson, whatever, could toss this guy around because he is an experienced hand fighter. There's a lot of things that need to, like, he's not fast. He's not explosive. He's just long. So he's there in 3 strides, but it looks like he's like doing like his Luka impression, trying to move through it. My other honorable mention is from the national championship, Ohio State Buckeyes. That is Jack Sawyer. I wrote power, power, and power. Bull rush specialist. Just a mean dude when he gets off the block. And everything hits hard. Problem, like a couple of these guys in this draft, a very slow first step. His athleticism is kind of limited to straight line speed. Like, once he changes direction, he loses a lot of his power and his explosiveness. Doesn't really have a lot of finesse. It's really a lot of bull rush and go kind of. The hand fighting moves aren't there. Number 5, Mike Green out of Marshall. He was kind of the darling of the Senior Bowl a little bit. He's beaten a lot of D1 tackles. Super quick first step. Like, I watched him in his break, out of his stance, first step, and cut. And the tackle, it looked like an AI crossover. Like, he stepped forward, and Green was by him. And it was awesome. But then on the second part of that play, he got muffed up by a running back. Lack of upper body strength kind of bugs me a little bit. He's got to really start hitting the weight room when he gets to the pros. variety of hand moves, exceptional with everything from chops to sweep, swim moves, whatever. He's got it. Very violent with his hands. Very violent. And he's good with leverage. So there's a lot of great things. I see why guys are excited about him. And he's got good natural instincts. The problem is he's similar size to Abdul Carter, but lacks Carter's strength. Leaves his feet too much when he tackles. You'll see it a lot in tape. He's lunging and attacking at running backs and quarterbacks and receivers. But he's my number 5. Number 4, I had Texas A&M, the big man himself, Shamar Stewart, 6'5", 267, a big man. Ability to bend is very nice, especially for a guy that large. Very violent at the point of attack. And the speed power transition out of his stance is like insane. Like Myles Garrett-like. I'm not going to call this guy Myles Garrett-like, even though they're very similar builds, because Myles Garrett had exceptional hand technique and is just developed so well as an edge rusher. Lacks tackling ability. I did not see this much on a lot of other people's scouting reports, but when I watch tape on him, I see him miss a lot of sacks and a lot of tackles for loss. He's the first guy there. Guy bounced off his tackle. Second guy gets him. Don't like seeing that. You got to bring guy down. Lack of production. I believe only 4.5 sacks in college. So, yeah, not great. And then last is lack of rush moves. He's just a freak of nature with strength and tries to use his speed for his size, and it doesn't really translate well. So he's going to have to pick up moves because those one-trick ponies. Just ask Kayvon Thibodeau how that goes in the pros. Number 3, Michael Williams out of Georgia. Now, fair mind, I watched about 8 Georgia games this year. A lot of them just because they happen to be on primetime when Miami had already played. This dude always stuck out to me. I watched him haunt Quinn Ewers' nightmares. Williams, power at the point of attack. The pop he generates when he hits the O-line is stupid. Him and Jack Sawyer are 2 guys where I'm just like watching them blow dudes back off the ball. Like they're staggering when he hit them. He's got a lot of versatility. He can play line up with both outside linebacker, edge rusher, or a D end with his hand in the ground. Very useful. Howie, get on the phone. Bull rush specialist, very similar to Jack Sawyer, where there's a lot of power and speed. He does have better side, extremely athletic side to side, which I thought was very nice, especially for a power rusher. Lacks a first step quickness. Doesn't really have a ton of non-power centric moves, but I mean, listen, his game is power. He tends to stand up out of his stance and then uses his strength, whereas a guy like Shamar Stewart generates the speed and the power out of a low point. Number 2, JPJ out of Tennessee, James Pierce Jr., freak athlete. I watched this dude get a pick 6 and house it. I'm like, woo, oh, he can run. All right. I wrote stupid effing fast on his first line. Second line, leaner, more athletic Jalen Phillips was my pro comp for him. Same kind of speed rush package that Phillips gives you down in Miami, but a little leaner and a little quicker and a lot more durable. Very long, 6'5", 243. And then insane first step. I thought Mike Green and Abdul Carter were fast, and then I got to see JPJ do a 2-step and had the tackle literally moving side to side, and it was beautiful. I love when edge rushers, like Dwight Freeney was the best, when they can basically get the tackle moving before you even engage. Von Miller was great at this too, where they could get the guy into a movement and you've already committed, and now the fact that they're in a breakdown position, they can now go around, they can spin, swim, pull, rip, whatever. So love that about him. Football IQ and his spatial awareness are through the roof. Like, such a good, smart football player, especially with his skill. Great hand use. Rips, pulls, slaps. All of his hand movement, exceptional. I got to stop moving my hand because my stitches are not feeling great right now. Lacks the strength of a point of attack. He's like the anti-Michael Williams. Not really that much pop coming off. He's a lanky dude. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Nolan Smith coming out of Georgia. Runs uphill too much, where he is just like, when you're blocking as a left tackle, your dream scenario for a pocket passer like a Shedeur Sanders, Quinn Ewers, whatever, is basically saying, hey, I'm going to ride this edge rusher, the speed guy, basically to Texas. I'm going to say, all right, go. get out of the play. Guy can step up, deliver the ball. He has a tendency to do that, and that's the issue. Number one, like there was any question, Abdul Carter out of Penn State. Woo! All right, I wrote Javon Curse is what he reminds me of. Just a freak. A little shorter than Javon Curse, but what I wrote in my notes officially was the Jason Bourne line. Jesus Christ, that's Javon Curse. Just like freak of nature out of the box, insane speed, has the power and strength to go with it. He's on the shorter side, only 6'3", but he makes up for it with his explosiveness, which is just incredible. On top of all of that, you have just so much power at the point of contact. He's very strong. He's an exceptional tackler. Crazy catch-up speed. I saw him catching like linebackers, running backs and halfbacks, tight ends, everything else from behind on multiple games, including Oregon. I was blown away by that. Does rely on his athleticism and does stand up a little bit out of his stance. So he's not a perfect prospect, but he is the best and most complete because he does possess all the things you want. I even saw this guy drop into coverage. I was like blown away. So Abdul Carter's my number one. Matt, I know you copied my list. Anything you want to contribute?
Well, no, since you got the great inspiration from me, I guess there's nothing to really contribute besides it was an amazing list because I got the same thing.
Damnable lie.
I saw the text. I'm like, this guy. I knew he was gonna. I was like, I even was looking at some of the rankings. I was watching some stuff. I was like, I'm gonna flip some people around. I'm gonna be different. Nope, I had the same. Even my honorable mention was the same.
I had two, so I one-upped you.
No, that's fair. All right. Well, I will start with my honorable mention. I as well had Jack Sawyer out of Ohio State, 6'4", 260, powerful edge rusher. He had 4.5 sacks and six pass breakups in last year's Ohio State's 4-game playoff run. He wins on stuff in the run. He's got great tackle instincts and is always moving, which makes it challenging for defenders to match his movements as well. It's just always quick feet just running around. He does have some smaller arms. He does lack speed, and he's got some moderate burst. So I got him as my honorable mention right here. He didn't crack my top 5. But my number 5, I got Mike Green out of Marshall at 6'3", 251. He's like one of the only edge rushers that I was finding that was actually hit the bench press. He was one of the guys that I don't have in my cons that like needs to improve his upper body strength really.
It's in the game. You notice it in the game when he's engaging. It seems like he relies on his lower body to drive, where he has no pop, where there's no in like the hand fighting. You don't see the ability to kind of shove guys off. Whereas like guys like Abdul Carter, I've seen the rip and grip. Oh, yeah. You can see the fact he's stronger than the guy he's against. That was my point.
Yeah, well, he's got 28 reps on that bench. He's got big energy edge rusher with adequate rush and fierce physicality. He's explosive edge that breaks through blocks and finishes in the backfield. Plays with pure violence. This man is a violent edge rusher. He's great at countering and switching up moves to finish runs. And he's solid at winning against pass protection. And a big thing, he had 17 sacks in 2024. Some of the cons that I had, only a few. He's got such high energy and he's got such a high motor that sometimes he just runs out of gas because he just exerts it all on that one play or so. Like he just kind of gets it all out early and he's gassed at the end. And then another thing I was looking at too, I was kind of looking into this. He does have a little bit of an interesting departure from Virginia in 2022. He had 2 sexual assault allegations against him that caused his departure from the school. He denies that any of those happened and that he was at fault or he was wrong for doing anything. But I did read up that he said that he was never asked or questioned on the matter from police. And per the New York Times article, I believe the case is suspended. So I'm not sure if there's going to be any movement with that. But he is, tells reporters like, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm good. I'm innocent. So that's why I had him at 5, because usually stuff like that is going to cause you to slip down a little bit in the draft. So I had him at 5 just for that reason right there. But other than that, he's going to be a fantastic player in this league. My number 3, Mykel Williams out of Georgia, 6'5", 260. He is I'm sorry. That's 3. Number 4, Shamar Stewart. There we go. I'm on track now. Texas A&M, 6'5", 267, 4.59 40. He's an explosive edge He's got great athleticism, and he's a force to be reckoned with in both phases against the pass and the rush. But he does need to work on finishing. Another edge that can benefit more from development, I believe. I think if he has another year or so, I think he probably could have benefited from a little more time in school if he was able to. But I think so. What I had him was, I feel like based off his traits and his talents, production should be higher. His production should be higher based off of his traits and his talent. Um, he's a solid prospect. And so when I'm talking about, I think he could benefit from some more development. I kind of like labeled him as kind of like a Will McDonald similar situation where I think he might have a slow first season. And I think year 2, he could break out and wind up having those double-digit sacks, and everybody's kind of like, oh, shoot, maybe he wasn't a bust. Like, I'm not saying he's going to be a bust or anything like that, but I'm just like Will McDonald, everybody freaked out. They took him at 15, and then year 2, he was the best pass rusher they had in that whole team, with leading the sacks with that team. So could be a similar scenario like that for a team. But my number 3, Mykel Williams out of Georgia, 6'5", 260. He is what I labeled as a low-risk, high-reward prospect. He may not be a high-up pick like Abdul Carter or maybe Mason Graham, but the upside with him in the right system, I think he could be a top pass rusher. He's an explosive rusher with great length. He's got good physicality on plays, and he doesn't get bullied by blockers. More than 30% of his career tackles went for a loss, and that's a big – you have to really think about it. You break down all of his career tackles. For 30% of them to go for a loss, that's a big number. He loves the strip sacks, and he can finish sacks too. He's somebody that can finish it in pass protection, get into the quarterback. He doesn't have to worry about breaking tackles or anything like that. He finishes his sacks. Some cons, I think he needs to improve some strength. I think he needs more development, and I think he's still an edge learning moves and counters, but the upside is an all-time high. And I think they compared him to like a Greg Rousseau.
Yeah. Little bigger, a little more power. Rousseau is kind of a lankier dude, but I get
it. Number 2, I've got James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee at 6'5", 245. He had a 4.47 40, so he's got the speed already. But he's got explosive burst off the line, adequate speed and power, a crafty edge rusher that maneuvers around blocks to win on plays, solid run stopper, and overall tackler. He's got the speed and length to be a menace on the defensive line. I also think he can as well benefit from increasing strength. I noticed there was a lot of edges that in this list that didn't participate in the bench. And I thought it was interesting that a lot of the cons are that they can use some increase in their upper body strength, but they didn't participate in the bench, so I don't think they wanted to exploit that weakness. But also didn't participate in the bench. Pass rush can sometimes be knocked off course and doesn't always finish the job on sacks. So So this is not going to make sense off physicality, but I was thinking of he's like a faster Leonard Williams, because Leonard Williams is a guy that is a solid rusher against the run, doesn't always finish in the backfield. He's kind of a guy that causes some disruption and will kind of get a hit on the quarterback, but another edge rusher is going to come in and finish off the job. That's why his sack numbers aren't always really over like 7 to 9 sometimes, but that was just the first person I thought of. I was like, who's great at everything but just doesn't finish the sacks always. But number 1,
my comp was like Nolan Smith, kind of like a less muscle, more like length version, I guess.
Shout out to Nolan Smith in my career mode on Madden. My player, I got signed by the Jets, and we just signed him to be our starting linebacker. And we're 14-3 going to the conference championship. So shout out to Nolan Smith for Madden. Number 1, Abdul Carter, by no surprise. Edge out of Penn State. Easily the number 1 edge rusher in this draft. He's a fast, athletic, intense, and explosive edge rusher with solid footwork. He's got an insane spin move, and he explodes off the line and penetrates through blocks to move. Explodes off the line and penetrates through blocks to make the impossible tackles possible. I think quarterbacks are going to have a very difficult time trying to maneuver around him if and when he beats his blocks in protection. Some of the cons, I think he could benefit from bulking up his upper body as well, like you were saying. I think he could benefit from a little more mass on his frame. I think he needs to improve his hand placement as well on plays, and he can get a little too handsy. And I think his quick explosion can leave less room for error. He just explodes off that line so fast. I don't think he has enough time to kind of correct any possible mishaps once he's already trying to get to where he's got to go. But I saw a comp was like Micah Parsons. I think that makes a lot of sense with the speed aspect of him being a defensive rusher, but I think he's just going to be I think he's going to be an insane prospect and player in this league. So that's my 5. That's my honorable mention.
Nice. I like it. Yeah, Nate.
Yeah, love you both. I know you guys have the same list, so it was kind of humorous to create this graphic when I saw you. It was literally copy and paste one section to the next one for you and
You're welcome.
Matt. So yeah, it made my life easier for sure. But yeah, I love it. For me, I switched Stewart and Williams. I think with Williams, and I think you guys talked about it a little bit as well, he's gonna need some time. I think whoever drafts him, they love his upside. Like he has massive upside, but if you draft him, but you have to be patient because he's someone that needs to refine his game a little bit more. His hands are inconsistent at times. He can let opposing blockers get to his wingspan and hit his chest, which that you pair that along with his lack of his elite first step, and that's kind of a bit concerning as a rusher. But he's a really good player. I mean, 6'5", 265. He's a big dude. So just with time, he's gonna be one of the best pass rushers from this draft for sure. In my honorable mention, real quick, I do want to mention Shamar Stewart. He's undersized. His arm length is a bit short, but he has an explosive first step. And during his time at Michigan, even when there was times where he was double teamed or pushed around, his fight.
You mean Josiah Stewart?
Josiah Stewart. What did I say? Josiah?
You said Shamar, who's not undersized by any stretch.
Oh yeah, my apologies.
Josiah Stewart kind of reminds me a little bit of BG. It's not just the Wolverine connection; it's the undersized kind of just attacking mentality he's got.
Yeah, last year he was really good. Had 13 tackles for loss, 8.5 sacks. Was second team All Big Ten. He's an underrated guy to watch out for. Like I said, 6'1", 245. It is a bit undersized compared to the guys we had on our list. But an explosive first step. He has great hands, natural leverage, elite motor. Can make hustle plays, and honestly, whoever drafts him, he's going to be someone to watch out for from this draft. So, but yeah, overall, I think we agree with this. It's hard when it's how I say this. We don't disagree on much when it comes to our rankings, Jared. I think all three of us, we have the same players, just different places at times. But yeah, honestly, I just put Shamar Stewart over Williams just because I just feel like you draft Stewart to help contribute right away compared to Williams, who kind of needs some time just to refine his game. But plus, I love Stewart and his versatility when it comes to scheme because he can go on the inside and line up outside as well.
Well, see, the thing is, Michael Williams is great because you can kind of line him at outside linebacker or straight forward, hand to the ground edge rusher. So I guess both of them are versatile. My biggest issue is besides Abdul Carter and Jack Sawyer, there's nobody really here who could start day one.
That's
all
true.
These guys are projects.
Yes.
All these guys have a part of their game they've got to re-up. That's the one thing that kind of stuck out to me a little bit. So I like your list, buddy, and great graphic. And we'll kick off our UFL preview in a few minutes. Boys, you excited? Thursday's opening day.
Oh my goodness. Let's go, man. Baseball's the most calming sport to watch. I ain't gonna lie.
Dude, I know.
62 games.
I am so excited to watch. I already told my moms, I was like, I'm gonna be up till 1 o'clock in the morning watching Diamondbacks baseball. That first game against the Cubs. I'm ready. I'm ready for it.
Who do you guys play?
Cubs.
Oh, wipe the floor, man.
You know what's crazy though? Corbin Burns is in his rotation our number 5 starter.
It probably has to do with the rest with spring training. If they don't think he's going to be ready to be that 1 or 2, 3 spot, maybe because we also have Rodon opening up and not Freed.
Yeah, we have. I think it's going. Galen, Merrill Kelly, Fott, Erod, and then Burns.
So the Yankees are opening up against they're at home. The game should be on Yes. The Yes app is now Gotham Sports app, which is stupid, but they're saying the game's on ESPN, ESPN Plus. It should also be on Yes, but I better get it. They better not black it out on ESPN. Even though I'm not going to be upset if I have to listen to it on the radio because baseball is an amazing sport to listen to on the radio. I'll probably go to the gym and play the first 4 or 5 innings on my headphones or so, and then finish it up at home.
Yeah, I honestly I'll leave when I'm at the gym. I'll just have it on in the background and on my phone. I'm finishing up my workout. But it kind of turns into this whole thing. I'm excited because the way last year ended, dude. I need reprieve. Like every time a Mets fan complains about their season, I'm like, it's what you get. It's called karma. You throw a game to keep a team out of the playoffs. You expect sympathy from me? Screw your fan base. Screw your organization.
Yeah, you were not happy that day. I'll tell you that. I remember that day.
You guys had to deal with me that day because that was Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
At least you're not the A's. Woo, we got 7.
it was also the week I lost my job. Like I was in a great spot that day.
Rough stuff. Hey, we got the A's though. We got the Mariners to start. We got the Cubs at home at Sutter Health Park, the minor league park. After that, so big things coming here in Sacramento.
All right, I'm excited. I'm also excited to talk to UFL football in a few minutes. Our guest should be here momentarily. I'm excited. Games kick off Friday, so opening schedule for opening week if you guys want to hear it. So, week 1 games.
We all have the different teams, right?
Yeah, you're the Brahmas. Matt's the Defenders. I am the Battlehawks.
I think one of the coaches got fired today or stepped down.
Ken Wisenhunt stepped down as the San Diego the Memphis Showboats head coach. So he is going to be he's out. So I guess their offensive line coach Jim Turner, I believe, stepping in. So yeah, only Friday game is my boys, Battlehawks Roughnecks, Houston at 8:00 on Fox. Nate, your Brahmas play the Renegades at 4:00 on Saturday Eastern time, so 1:00 your time.
We gonna whoop them.
The line right now, you guys are 3-point favorites on the road.
As we should.
We're 6-point favorites on the road.
Mm.
Zach's Panthers play the Memphis Showboats at noon on Sunday. His Panthers are 3.5-point favorites. And Matt, you guys play the defending champion Birmingham Stallions at home.
Light work.
On 3:00 on Sunday, you guys are 7-point dogs at home.
Matt, talk your stuff, bruh. Your stuff. That's what I'm talking about, man.
Light work.
Defending champions for what?
I just want to see Max dug in to a little option read, get outside, and start hauling ass down the sideline.
Yeah,
That quarterback room is interesting. That quarterback room is interesting.
I also want to see him just start chucking nukes to my boy Hakeem the Dream Butler. Also, Denzel Mims is on our team. Mr. I'm afraid of Philadelphia is playing for the St. Louis Battlehawks.
Listen, Denzel Mims, when he was used, was actually a pretty good receiver. When he was used, but he was also him and Malachi Corley are also just 2 examples of just players that Joe Douglas drafted, but didn't want or have any sort of plan for. Well, I put them on the coaching staff. He drafted them for the staff, and the staff didn't do anything with them. So he's one of those 2. But Janae, you know who my CB1 is on the Defenders?
Who?
You ready for this? It's a giant legend.
Oh, my God.
DeAndre Baker.
Oh, my goodness.
So
he was so bad as a rookie.
I understand why we were 4-6. I understand why we were 4-6 now last year.
Actually, I think he was all UFL. I was doing some research like 2 a.m. yesterday because I was doing my UFL notes and stuff. He was all UFL last year for some reason.
Oh, well, you know what? Maybe this is what he needs. Because Trent Richardson also had a great year in I think it was the XFL the first year. After being atrocious in the NFL after his rookie year.
By the way, you can bet on the UFL in the Fanatics app.
Oh,
I know they already have the UFL in DraftKings, but the fact they have Fanatics is great because that's my sports book. But, ladies and gentlemen, joining us now, wearing a very dapper hat and a fantastic mustache, he is one of the hosts of the UFL podcast. His co-host and me got some fighting words after he took shots at my Battlehawks. He's a Bears fan. He is just a good all-around football dude. My man, Zach Keilman. Zach, how you doing, brother?
Jared, hey, good to see you, man. I see Nathan over here. Matt, good to see you guys. It's been a minute. So
yeah, man.
Glad to run into all of you as well. Old belly up crew and all that. So it's good. It's good. Doing well.
Yeah, excited, buddy. Friday.
I know. I've got my plane tickets and all that set. I'm flying down Thursday night to meet up with the ref. Funny enough, because we got Spring Stock 4 coming up live from Houston at the tailgate lots down there. Should be about 3:00 Central Time down that way. So Yeah, going to be live from our channel. And actually, the hat, I heard you in the backstage. I just got off our current show around the UFL, which we do live on Mondays. So I had to do a little double duty, and we ran over because if you haven't heard, there's a lot to talk about over the weekend.
And Wizenhunt just went, bye-bye.
Ken Wizenhunt, see you later. Reggie Barlow, I'm off to Tennessee State because Edgy George took the Bowling Green job. Yeah, roster cuts, they ended this week. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. We usually don't even run over that much, but that was the thing. Here we are.
It's so funny because, we'll obviously get into more about the UFL because I want to really give this to advocate for the UFL. I think it's a great idea. My grandmother just recently passed away, was a football-obsessed human being. That's all she'd watch, that or college basketball. And so the UFL, she looked forward to every year. Back when it was still the XFL and the USFL, she'd bounce between games, making sure she's had the gridiron on at all times.
That's awesome.
Dude, she loved it. And so it's really fun. I started watching because of her, obviously because of her. And so last year I became a Battlehawks fan because, like, back in the day, I was a New York Guardians fan. Because I was like, you know what? I got to pick a local team.
I tried.
I
also tried.
Me too, Matt.
I was buying tickets for my cousin who was like 10 years old at the time. Now he's like a freshman in high school. It's crazy. For that, it was like a game against the Battlehawks at MetLife. I was excited. We were going to go. And then COVID. So, and then, of course, they get back into it. The XFL's back. And the Battlehawks are still there. And you know what kind of sold me as being a fan of theirs is not only are they a middle finger to the Cronkies, which I love, two, it's their fan base is out of control. They have clean uniforms. One of my favorite Eagles failed projects, Hakeem Butler, is their star receiver. Now they bought my boy in from TCU, Max Duggan, who I love his game. I'm excited for the season. But I guess Zach, we'll start off with this right now, man. So what if I am a football fan? Like I love, like, let's say I'm like just some random fan off the street, never watched a day of spring football in my life. Because I know I'm going to bring up a point you guys made in your pod a few weeks ago. What is going to sell me on watching the UFL this year?
I think what's going to sell you is, first off, this is going to be, to me, the best season of this brand of football we have seen. Usually when we talk about spring football, a lot of us enthusiasts, we talk about that 2020 XFL season you guys are talking about with the Guardians being in there, or launch with McMahon running the show. And great promotion, but also really great talent. A lot of great plays, high-flying football, and excellent ratings. And I think this is the year we're going to see that ratings keep going up, but also the talent. It's hard to argue it's not the best it's ever been. I mean, we really do have loaded rosters across the board that even with some of these crazy changes right now, I think you could even weather a storm and still see some of these guys come out on top for that sake. Arlington wasn't great last year, but Luis Perez is at the best he's ever been in his game. If I want to talk talents, Birmingham, my God, they brought back 2 starting quarterbacks and one being a former MVP from the USFL and Alex Magoo. I can keep going down the list. Abram Smith's back and healthy with DC, with Jordan Ta'amu, which, remember, in 2023, they finished runner-up to the Arlington Renegades. Yes. So, like, we're talking about really the best of the best and some excellent young talents coming in as well, or new faces that we are excited to see, like Max Dugan and Kellen Mond, who I think have been looking for opportunities and reps on the outdoor game. So absolutely that. But also I think, just look, if you like football and you're just a football fan, like why would you not want to watch this? I think that's the thing. Like if I'm football 24/7, that's me. Like I want more of it. I don't want to wait around. Yeah, I can always follow the NFL on the side. I can follow the draft. I love following the draft. I love following the combine. I love following free agency. But dude, I want to watch what's on television. That's what I'm looking for. And that's what I get. I get for March all the way till July, live, high quality to me football that, what are you waiting for? What's the sell? I think anyone who throws stuff, which is becoming less and less every year, that throws that it's not quality football, I think they need to kick rocks. They're not watching. That's the deal. I think you should probably sit down and watch a few quarters because there's some great football being played out here. And especially if you're a college football fan, and I mean true, to me, like the truest of true college football guys, like, come on, dude. So many of your favorite heroes are going to be in this league too, that maybe they just need that extra film work. Scooby Wright's a perfect example. Huge guy, was a big popular dude at Arizona, at the University of Arizona for the Wildcats, was really great and well-known as a college player, and is a spring football star and now legend because of what he went and pursued and performed at that level in the game. So that's where you can go, and more players are taking that leap, and it's going to get better and better. And this year's the best one I think it'll be so far.
I'm just happy anything's better than the AAF back in 2018. rough. I tried so hard to be a fan of that, but the problem is you couldn't even find the games half the time.
Yeah.
I will say this. What sold me was last year I was at a sports bar with my buddy. We were catching up. I hadn't talked to him in weeks, and there was nothing. It was a Sunday in April. My Diamondbacks weren't. First pitch was until 8:00 that night. Yankees were playing, I think, Sunday Night Baseball, and so we're just sitting there watching. There's nobody on. I'm like, oh, UFL's on, sweet. And I'm like, oh, Battlehawks on, sweet. Like there's my team right here. And he's like, you know anybody? I'm like, I know 3 players on this team. He goes, great. And we start watching. They start winning. I'm loving it. So, and it was honestly an entertaining watch on a Sunday because honestly, as much as I want to spend my entire afternoon outside, there's something nice about actually sitting down and watch a little bit of football. Even when it's nice out, just crack the windows, crack a beer. I'll watch on my porch with a cigar. I enjoy it.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about right there.
I can't do that with my birds because but we finished playing games. It was 20 degrees outside and snowing. So,
yeah, I tried watch. Not tried. I did watch when they first started it up in 2020. I enjoyed all of the games I was watching, and me being a Connecticut native, I chose the Guardians because it was the closest team to me, and I figured I could try to get to a game or two. But a quick background of myself, Zach, I am a Jets fan, so I can't be a fan of a team that also has quarterback issues. I can't have 2 of them. And when I turned on the Guardians, I was watching Matt McGloin, and I couldn't do it. And I was like, I need to just cleanse myself. And then Luis Perez came, and he was great. He was fantastic. And then they sold me, but then we didn't have it for those couple of years. And then my boy Adrian Martinez comes over from the XFL and the UFL over to the Jets, and he's the 3rd quarterback right now. And that's a lot of fun to see guys that you watched and you were like became fans of because of this league now come into the NFL, even play for your team. But something that really kind of separated the NFL from the UFL for me was I was really drawn to the different types of rules and technology that they were using in their games. Like they were really trying very hard to like make it as transparent as possible for not only the refs and the coaches and the players, but for the fans watching to understand this is how we're getting to our decision and this is what we're doing to make it the most accurate ruling possible. And some of the things I was looking into, because I know they did the kickoff rule, which I know the NFL started to adopt, which is really cool to see. But I see they have like true line ball spotting. It eliminates the chain gang and gives the refs a more accurate assessment as to whether the ball reached the line again. And I believe they have 6 4K cameras that detect the exact ball location. And then another one I was just saying was that they have a coach-to-player communication where they have up to 8 players have helmet speakers to hear offensive and defensive play calling, as well as a sign line tablet video that replaces the still photos that the NFL uses. Mm-hmm. So I was always drawn to the technology. Is that all still the same stuff being used, or they added anything or modified anything technology-wise for this upcoming season? Or
yeah, so actually, funny you bring that up, and this hasn't been talked about as much, so I'm glad you ask. They created this year in particular, they launched a program called FAST. Stands for Football Advancement Through Sports Technology. It's a completely separate department inside the league office, which, by the way, for you guys, if you've seen, they did fully have committed to the Arlington market. They have set up a huge office space just down the road from Choctaw Stadium, where the other Dallas sporting venues are that are not, say, where the Mavs play. But yeah, they basically set this department up to focus on emerging technology that maybe you can implement and advance the game or help advance viewership of the game. So like you're talking with the ball tracking, they actually got a ball tracking company, Sportable, they're working with as well to kind of enhance that ball tracking as well and placement to help add on to their True Line technology. So they're working with that. I also like they added on a Skill Corner, which that helps with kind of like enhanced graphic feeds as well for games, but also can be used for potential rule analysis is what their plan is. So they're going to use that this year with Fox broadcasts is what they're saying. And they're also trying to advance the helmet cams that they were doing last year. And credit, this company's been around a minute, but Mindfly is what they're using this year. Instead of connecting to the helmet, it's kind of like a chest plate camera, but the camera's view is much larger and it's HD, no like color distortion or anything. It's going to look really smooth. If you go on Mindfly's website, you'll see that they've used it in a lot of leagues and very well effectively too. Great highlights, and it'll be much better looking kind of different view of the game. So that's their plan. Those are 3 companies they listed in their press release for that, by the way. But the idea is they want to be a place where, The NFL we understand they're standoffish. They look and they kind of analyze and pick and choose what they want. In the car scene, Toyota's like that. Funny enough, I know I'm doing a car analogy, but like whatever. They pick and choose. They pick the best stuff that's proven. They implement it. They do it because they're the top dog. The UFL, well, we got to improvise. Okay, what can we do to stand out? Well, we're the tech guys. Or we're the new features people. We can always try stuff out. Maybe it doesn't work. Maybe it does. But we at least are standing out because we're trying something else that maybe others want to see. So, they got 3 companies they're working with right now. I believe that I might have missed there was a 4th one they announced, but tons of tech on the pipeline. They really want to push and be that like avenue for football to advance is what they're pushing as well. Besides advancing players and coaches, they also want the tech and the rules to advance too. So definitely are doubling down this year.
Awesome. I love all that. So I will say this because, it was something that I think I'm starting to get a hold of more and more as the UFL app is honestly pretty great. It's improved since last year. I do think that the social media presence is improving. You're going to bring up a point on a show a few weeks ago about the best thing about football in the spring is it's in the spring. I'm like, no. No. I get to see guys who didn't get a fair. My favorite part about the league is these guys who didn't get a fair shake are getting their shot, and guys like kid came out of Houston, went to play for the Panthers. PJ Turner, right?
PJ Tucker.
You're talking PJ. If you're talking from the Roughnecks, it's PJ Walker.
PJ Walker. Yes. Yeah. He was part of the Houston team that I think Winter won the title. Got a shot with the Carolina Panthers. Actually played in a couple of games, and he still I think bounces around as a backup. Yeah, it's awesome. That's what it's about. That's what this league can sell some people on, but also the fact is like it beats watching an NBA regular season game in April. I'll tell you that right now.
I want to see Denzel.
Playoffs, I don't even want to watch.
I want to see Denzel Mims show the league that he's actually a really good receiver, and if you give him a chance, you give him a shot, that he's actually a solid receiver.
Yeah, I agree with you. I love that. By the way, that's fantastic.
I'm steering into it whole.
I'm glad you brought up, by the way, that whole it's really, spring football is great because it's in the spring. Because here's the thing, my co-host and I get his frustration because look, we have had several years of this. Even if you're a social media guy, it's like, come on, that was you're trying to be funny with it, but that seems so weird.
After I listened to the episode, by the way, I went and looked up the post because I'm like, there's no way in hell this, and I was like, damn, man, I'm looking for a job in social media. Y'all hire me. I'll do
it was goofy. Trust me. I was the same way. It's really? That's what we're going to do is lead it. We all know that. Okay. And you know what, Jared, I'll be honest with you with the social media. So first off, another thing we brought up in that episode is they come in, they do this big rush because they're seasonal employees. They can't do much in the off season. So you give it to one account. But the other thing is too, I feel like you are trying to grow. So what kills me is I know what they were doing there. They wanted to be more, there's a casual fan, it's because there's more football in the spring. But then you have us, that's a massive a pretty decent contingent now. That's oh, come on, man. Really? We're going to go with the easy joke here. That's what it kind of pulls us.
That's because I went and looked up because your co-host, he's definitely, I've known you for a while. Obviously, we had our time together, belly back when you did Gridiron Grind, and I remember our chats with that, and obviously doing stuff with Kelsey and DJ. But then I'm listening to this guy, I'm like, I like his style. He's a little more boisterous, he's a little louder. It's definitely a good change up, obviously. And I'm like, he's got a point. That. How is that the layup of a post? But enough said. We've been dawdling on this for a while. Let's start talking teams. Obviously, the Birmingham Stallions were a juggernaut last year.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. We all four of us have teams that had a shot at the title last year. I think only a couple of us did. I think my team went.
I was not in the playoffs.
Yeah, as I say, Jared, yours had a shot. Mine had a shot. Both you and I got kicked out. Nathan, you're which team? Matt, which teams are your guys's?
Bahamas.
Defenders.
Well then, yeah, but Brahmas at least got there. You know,
We had an
went
Instagram
4-6.
kicker, I tell you that. That
yeah,
was
you
nice to
got.
have.
Hey, he broke his neck, right?
Yes, unfortunately, yeah. I saw that. Oh, never mind. Not watching anymore at this point because he's the only player I knew.
Did you know? Did you know he's a YouTube kicker? I'm messing. I'm sorry. I have a whole thing with destroying because like I appreciate the exposure, but it's almost where it's like a gesture I want to make that the league does with the man. So I'm not going to do that on live stream, but yeah.
That's okay. Especially because this is the one that actually goes up on the belly of YouTube. So we're trying to keep it slightly above.
Yeah, no demonetization for you guys. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, I don't feel like getting a phone call from Kelsey at 12 o'clock at night. Be like, what did you do?
And then he'll call me and be like, why'd you hurt Jared and Co? Why'd you do that?
I'm like, sorry, Mom. It's okay. We can obviously go team by team, but so off the rip, you got Stallions are still they're the champs that you gotta come for. That nothing's changed, right? Like I'm not missing that one. I was looking up
no. Yeah. They reloaded easily, and even with their GM Zach Potter heading out to be a general manager for Sacramento State, most of the roster was already settled. I mean, yes, they are going to have to. We'll see what happens with the unknown. Injuries are always unknown, personal stuff, you name it. But like, no, this team on paper, I know that it's hard to do anything 3 times, hell, even 4. But like, my God, man, I mean, they reload.
The names on this roster. I mean, I'm excited to see Matt Corral get a fair shake. That was
if he can beat Magoo, that's the thing. Like, who gets that start there? And the funny thing is, we were confident with Matt Corral being the starter and them still being the top. But once they signed Alex Magoo and we got clarified that an AR article was completely wrong on calling him a receiver, who starts? Because Magoo is. I mean, if you watch that 2023 season of any kind, you knew that man was arguably the best quarterback in spring football at the time. Yeah, easily. So. Man, that's a hard pickup. That's the thing. And Corral we thought it'd be a shoo-in until that happened. So now there's no clue. At least not yet. And Skip's not revealing it yet. So
you also have the fact guys like Amari Rogers, who I know obviously played for the Clemson Tigers, was an elite receiver there. Mario Goodrich, another Clemson Tiger who played in the NFL, very athletic, very fast corner. I'm looking at a lot of these guys, and I'm like, the names are starting to ring bells. But also, like, I know exactly what Skip Holtz is going to do. They're going to come out and they're going to kick everyone's ass. So it's just, we can only hope that somebody gets a shot in them in the playoffs. But like, so who's a team that did not make it like even remotely close this year? Obviously, excluding your Panthers, my Battlehawks. Who's a team that maybe everyone's kind of overlooking this year that's going to kind of shock the system? Is there one kind of sitting there like might kind of catch everyone by surprise? Or are we getting at brass tacks this year?
I don't know about. I mean, I'm hoping not brass tacks because I think I want parity. I always appreciate parity. Last year we saw the USFL conference was extremely lopsided, and I think a lot of us were leaning up until today's news with Ken Wisenhunt stepping away for personal reasons. Yeah. That Memphis might be the one that could make some noise and possibly challenge Michigan for that too. And maybe do something like that. But since that news dropped and announcing that they're choosing Jim Turner, an offensive line coach, to take over with no OC because was the OC. My money's on DC now. And the thing is, DC wasn't. How do I put this? They lost part of what their identity was when Abram Smith tore his ACL last year, and without him, you had to ask Jordan Teamu to play hero. He's not a kind of quarterback that plays hero. He is a guy that basically operates well when he is not the focus of the offense. That's what happened in 2023. Abram Smith was so dominant that he could shine because defense would be so worried about protecting against Abram that he could then throw it up to his big receivers. Now, Abram's back. Question is, how good is he with an ACL repaired? And how good is Jordan Teamu's offensive line this year so that he can get a little extra time to throw? Because he also did not have much time last year. So DC's mine. I think that whatever happens in the XFL conference is that I could see them being one of those two. Personally, a lot of people feel more confident that, it'll be Brahmas in and not as much Battlehawks. I hate to bring it up, but that's what a lot of the talk is. Brahmas, it's, hey, Kellen Mond, very simple college-esque offense for, Mond to kind of operate in. And they said they're going to make him mobile. So good double whammy on that. Good defensive presence too. St. Louis I like as well, but I think that, DC with recovering some of those veteran players and now kind of having their identity back, I'm curious to see what they do with whoever starts, because it's either Manny Wilkins or Max Dugan, and they've kind of committed to a dual QB system to start on Friday night, which
I am not happy about.
No.
God,
And I am one of the proponents of, I dislike, because there's now 3 coaches, from what I can tell, that are going to do this split QB stuff week 1 because they can't pull the trigger. My team in particular, Michigan's going to do the same thing with Danny Etlings and Bryce Perkins.
Who's your guy? Oh, Perkins and sorry.
Yeah, personally, the fan base and I, we want Perkins, but Etling was the starter to end the year going in against Birmingham, so it's cold feet on picking one. And I get that Birmingham was able to split for like 3 weeks and then picked Adrian Martinez and still was winning, but I'm still not a fan of relying on split reps and hoping to God it just works out. I want commitment. So like, for that, like St. Louis, it's like you better commit pretty quick. And I don't know if Manny Wilkins inspires me. Yes, he's great at running, but his passing ability, very suspect last year. And if Max Dugan's not been doing great in camp to where they have to split, that doesn't give me confidence either. So we'll have to see.
I'm staying optimistic with my Battlehawks. I mean, hopefully my boy Max comes out week 1 and just balls, and they just keep him in. Obviously, I love our receiving core this year now with the addition of Denzel Mims, who, like Matt said before he came on, very underutilized in the NFL, but in college at Baylor, he was a nightmare to cover at 6'3", running a sub 4.4. The speed is there, so Dugan's gonna have 2 6'3" plus receivers on the outside, both who can run. I'm excited for at least the Battlehawks to commit in that way. I'm just hoping their defense steps up a little more than it did in the postseason last year. That was heartbreaking. I missed the game. I checked my phone and I see we lost. And I was like, crap. I got to wait until freaking September for these weenies to, give me the best season of my life.
Right. No doubt about that.
Yeah, I'm spoiled.
I do say for the dynamic between you and Nate that it's interesting because the Brahmas had to take a bit of one for the team with scheduling conflicts and having only 4 home games. So, 2 of those being that they have to go play in the Dome twice. So best of luck there is how I can put it. But should be fun. Considering how much, when I was at the championship game last year, how much the St. Louis fans that showed up hated San Antonio for stuff that happened during that XFL championship game, apparently. Man, the dynamic's going to be great for those games.
I love that there's a rivalry. This is great. Like, I love seeing those emerging rivalries. It's going to kill me because one of my favorite Eagles of all time, unsung Eagles of all time, Greg Ward, is a member of the Brahmas, which sucks. I'd love to see him in that nice blue. Also, former Eagle Greedy Williams as well. But Eagle for a training camp because he was awful. I love seeing the rivalry though. That's cool to me. I love that gives me more to invest in. It's like, okay, cool. I have a team to hate now besides Kelsey Stallions. So it's like
I feel like Belly Up is all like, can we dethrone this man? Like I've gotten that multiple times.
He's not allowed to be happy in football. Okay, he's already unhappy during the fall. And continue into the
I'm trying to stay positive and optimistic as a Defenders fan. I'm looking at, Reggie Barlow in 2023 was Coach of the Year. Jordan Teamu in 2023 was Offensive Player of the Year. Now you got Reggie Barlow steps down. He takes the college job. Now they have I believe it was the quarterbacks coach stepping in as the interim head coach right now.
Yes.
It seems like the core from last year, I think for the most part, is pretty much staying the same. What are your thoughts on this season's outlook with them? I know you said you think they could be one of those teams that was not in it last year that could be in it this year. Is there any concerns, I guess, with a last-second interim head coach kind of stepping in from last year instead of the 2023 Coach of the Year?
Well, I think it should be addressed, and it is, of course, not ideal. You don't want this to happen. Now, that being said, you look at how this came to be. Eddie George leaves Tennessee State, goes to Bowling Green, and they kind of just needed someone. And the original report was that it was going to be Jeff Fisher. That was not anywhere the case. And I'm also tied to that because it's AF1 related and I'm arena football guy. So like that one I learned was nowhere near the case, but it was talked about. And so real quickly, Eddie George leaves on March 10th, essentially. And now within less than 2 weeks, Reggie Barlow has been in a smaller FCS capacity before, it makes sense in terms of like a guy that maybe he wants to go back into that as a college scene, but you have to pull that trigger because it's now or never with these jobs. So like, I got that. But Shannon Harris has been kind of his right-hand man and has worked with Barlow for several years, even before the XFL days. He was over there at Virginia. I think it's Virginia Military Academy Virginia State was the case because that's where they came from. So he's worked with Barlow before in this case. So that helps. Also, what helps is unlike the Memphis Showboats, where you're talking about Ken Wisenhunt was filling a coordinator position, by the way. You have two veteran and very well-established coordinators with DC that have been with the team since its inception or re-inception in 2023 in Greg Williams and Fred Keiss. So you're not going anywhere with that leadership. The only thing that's different is you're taking a guy that's been basically a right-hand man, putting him in the coaching spot and kind of making him play the same role Reggie did. Reggie wasn't really involved in either or of those sides. He kind of was more of like, the best way that I can equate it was a Dan Campbell type. You're a leader of men, and you kind of try and make sure all phases are operating efficiently and you keep people accountable. So, that's what helps here. Ken was two parts of the equation. So that's completely different. And that's why I believe like Shannon Harris, I think he can keep that ship running consistent. And again, I don't think this roster is bad at all whatsoever. I think what it's leaning on for DC is it wants to lean on the philosophies that worked in 23 and that they're healthy again. Can this team with a healthy roster reset get back to its roots and its philosophies of run first, open up the pass through the run, and then rely on kind of this opportunistic and aggressive Greg Williams defense to create opportunities? And I'll admit, it blew up in his face a lot more last year than it did in 2023, which is why I think a lot of people kind of held him under the gun for performances and failures in some games. But again, I like pickups like, say, kind of more of an emphasis on like Ty Scott, who gets more freed up as a receiver. He was a deep ball threat that a lot of us felt could be a top target as a number one. They also bring up veteran people like, say, Chris Rowland being back as well. I also like that too, him coming back as well. Brilliant Moore is not too bad too as a tight end. I mean, the roster's not too shabby, and I think they've also done a decent job at kind of keeping some of the best parts of the defense intact while also kind of looking for new and fresh faces. So wasn't too bad of an offseason for them. They're really leaning, like I said, though, on philosophies that have worked 2 years ago and a healthy roster pushing forward. And I think even with Barlow leaving, those coordinators being established, much better cohesion than if you were in Memphis. So really good chance they could potentially, like I said earlier, have that shot to surprise and leapfrog back into that playoff discussion again like they were 2 years ago.
Nice.
I love it. So, Nate, I'll let you go first. I got to figure out how to phrase this question. Nate, any questions for Zach about your Brahmas? Obviously, we know now. Apparently, we're rivals in another sport. Nate,
I know, right, man?
There was some, like I said, there was some bitter. Those 3 games they played last year, not friends whatsoever. Like those were definitely some of those bitter games in the UFL calendar year last year. So those should be fun again.
Just our luck, right, Jared? Just our luck, right? Giants, Eagles. Now it's Brahmas.
Yeah, it's always it's how it rolls, man. But what are you gonna do? Exactly. I will say though, obviously follow Zach and his co-host on Twitter at UFL Podcast. I was actually able to listen a lot the last couple weeks and learn a lot more. The problem with picking up it's not a new sport, but it's a new league.
Yeah.
Is I know only ex-NFL guys. NFL guys, I could tell you everything from where they went to college, what their 40 time was, what their stats were like in the league. Even coaches, the same thing. It's a lot to take in. Check Zach out. There's also a lot of great dedicated fan pages to the UFL on Instagram as well. Very helpful with graphics and research. And also, surprisingly, their Facebook page is very helpful as well. So,
yeah.
My dad was questioning. So he's like, I'm here. Check out their Facebook page.
Here's something I'm going to drop for you guys that I think your viewers would like too, and you'll definitely enjoy. So one of our key contributors for Pro Football Newsroom, who hosts UFL podcasts, who have worked under and been with for years now, even during when we were Belly Up, or I was at Belly Up with you guys, is Nick Thorne. He's a really great guy that does these roster breakdowns and has an excellent document that kind of tells you where players are at, where they come from, their NFL experience, college experience. So I'm dropping that in the private chat of our stream right now. I recommend you share it to your viewers because it's one of the secret, maybe not best kept secret, but I definitely would call it. Actually, it is. Yeah, it's one of the best kept secrets in the space. he does a fantastic job breaking down rosters. You get entire rosters, reserve lists as well, guys they've lost, and every one of these players, if you hover over them, has notes of their playing experience, age, like everything. So definitely a good spot if you are going to catch up. Recommend that and check it out and share it out, because like I said, your viewers are going to love it, and it'll be much easier to catch up with who's what and where they've been.
I'd like to consider myself an advocate for the sport of football. I think it's one of the greatest things ever invented by mankind, and I would love to keep sharing it, even if it's just a spring, fall, whatever. So definitely, because we want to, even the listeners of our show, friends, family, whoever, people at Belly Up, we want to make sure we grow the UFL more and keep it going. Because honestly, I think spring football is better for the game itself. So
yes,
definitely we'll throw this out there, and I'll definitely, obviously, buddy, we want to get you back during the season as well, because maybe a midseason check-in, if at least, or something like that. I know you're a very busy man, obviously, with the podcast, your job, and of course traveling for the league itself. So, but Zach, man, I appreciate you so much coming on today, my guy. Quick, before you go, who's your champion this year?
Man, I see you, Nate. I really do. I'm watching you cross those fingers.
Optimism is glowing.
You know, I want to take the homer pick and take Michigan versus like San Antonio or something like that. I can't pick against the 3-time champs. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's such a loaded roster. That's what is killing me right now. You know, and again, this is very talented. Maybe someone shows up and maybe the coaching helps elevate one of these rosters over the top. Like San Antonio, like I said, I see you cross your fingers. Again, AJ Smith's a really great offensive coordinator, and Wade Phillips does a wonderful job keeping those defenses aggressive and stout with their principles. But you got to do it the entire time, and you know it's hard to beat Skip Holtz. And I also have to say this because I said it last year before they played the championship. Fun fact, Skip Holtz never loses to a team twice in one season. So you might get him once, but are you going to get him again? Like he's that good in this space. That's the thing. If you go for the king, you best not miss, and you best not miss during the most important time. So like that's the deal. You know, he's even said it himself. They've never had a perfect year. They've always lost once minimum, but it doesn't mean they're going to lose when it matters most. So that's the hard part. You know,
Birmingham Stallions 3-peat going for the 4-peat. So, you know, to me, Birmingham better than Kansas City.
No, facts. We can all agree on that, gentlemen.
Amen.
Everyone was like, "Why are you like expect?" Everyone always was kind of like, "Oh, why aren't you giving the Chiefs a fan? Why don't you want the Chiefs to win?" Obviously, because one, I was an Eagles fan. Like they're not knowing me, like family members, right? Or like friends of friends. I'm like, well, also, it's just bad for football. The NFL can't thrive under a 3-peat of a bad regime. At least like Birmingham, they have no annoying players. They just have annoying fans. It's like, whatever, who cares?
And I think it's into the market that's still like, I know like a lot of people bring up like, well, you've won 3 championships, but you can't fill things. There's more that's going on than that. But like, you know, it still is a good market. I've been there. I'll be honest, if you've never been to Birmingham, Alabama, I kind of like the city. It's actually pretty neat. It's the best of Southern charm meets like unique city flair. I can't describe it more than that.
I'm doing an Alabama tour. I'm going to go to Tuscaloosa for a game, and I'm going to try to swing around to Birmingham. I know it's a little bit of a drive, but I want to go see both cities because I've heard nothing but good things about Birmingham. The 3 or 4 times I've met people from there or visited, and you're probably the 5th person who's now told me like it's a place you got to visit, like the whole Southern state. So I love it. Zach, we'll give you a little shameless plug time. So the floor is yours, my friend.
All righty. Yeah, you already mentioned it, though, at UFL Podcast. Follow us on social and also on our YouTube page. Click the bell. It builds morale for us, not only you, but for us too. And you might as well click the bell as well for Korner Booth Podcast here because they've done a wonderful job having me on today. Also, check us out for our Monday live show. That's where I came from with this hat around the UFL, where we bring kind of Pro Football Newsroom's best and brightest together for one discussion on the week that was in the UFL, along with any off-season topic and discussion. We're doing those weekly now, Mondays at 6 p.m. Eastern time. UFL podcasts we're launching and it's doing now Thursday afternoons before the Friday night game of the UFL season. So check out those 2 while you're at it. And for any of my stuff, at Zach Keilman, I got that listed off in the name as well. And I talk UFL, but hey, you want arena football content? You should follow my account. I got a lot of arena football to say, and trust me, we can go an entire extra 2-hour episode just
I
talking
remember
all
the
arena
good old
football.
days, man. Philadelphia Soul, baby. We're going back in the day. I remember back with the old EA Sports video game and everything. Now we're getting back into it.
Oh, I still play it. I got an emulator on this PC
That's
right now.
so sick.
I'm
I love it.
saying.
See, or you like me have an OG Xbox that's older than dirt, and it thinks it's 21 years old and it runs like a top.
Okay.
Zach, man, appreciate you coming on, brother. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you at some point during the season. All right.
Peace out, gents. Matt, Nathan, and Jared. Great to talk to y'all. Thank you for having me on, and it's great to catch up with all of you. Glad you're doing well.
Appreciate
Thank you, Zach.
Thank you, man.
That was Zach Keilman, of course, of the UFL podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, you can check his stuff out like everywhere. He said, go follow him, please. He's a fun follow for anything UFL. And this year, of course, as we've already mentioned, we are going to be covering UFL every single week in a six-pack style capacity on Thursdays, as well as a review on Mondays. Because honestly, folks, the world's better with more football. So we'll, who knows? Maybe at the end of the season, we'll all get each other a T-shirt or a hat for our favorite teams.
Hey, maybe
I need some, like, the Battlehawks don't need to get like some blue camo going, like really steer into the blue and the battle kind of look. The logo's sweet, so that's fine. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps it up for our longest Monday show in a while. Shout out to Zach Keilman for rolling through and just breaking down everything. Also, we will share this document from his boy about all the roster breakdowns. Nate's eyeballs were the size of marbles when he was reading it, which means it's got to be good. That being said, the show will be up obviously on YouTube tomorrow. That will be Tuesday, the 25th. We will be back live on Thursday, the 27th. I will be laughing as my bandages will finally be off. Hi, Mom. All right. That's it. That's all. Shout out to our sponsors. Righteous Felon, promo code BellyUp for 15% off at checkout. Promo code BellyUp20 is for candidates. Promo code BellyUp20. I repeated that myself there. And of course, SeatGeek, the best seating app on the planet. Promo code BellyUp for $20 off your first initial purchase. Check them out. Great prices, even when you don't have the promo code. One of the best places to buy tickets anywhere. That's it. That is all, folks. We will see you guys on Thursday. Deuces.